Hello everyone. Today I am going to discuss about the basics of Python programming languages. Okay. So this is the outline of today class. Okay. So first we will see the introduction about the history about the Python. Okay. So who is the inventor of that Python and in which year the Python programming has released. Okay. So everything we will see an introduction part. Okay. And after completing the introduction part, we will see what is constants, okay, and what is literals. So how does these constant and literals are play a vital role for writing a Python programming. Okay, so everything we will see in the subsequent slides. Okay, so after that we will see what is strings. Okay, so how does strings are represented whenever we are writing a program in the Python shells. Okay, so after completing the strings, then we will see the assignment statement. Okay, so the assignment statement is very important part whenever we are writing some Python programming language. So without this, we may not do any calculation. Okay, so we will see what is assignment statement and what assignment statements in Python programming languages. Okay. So after completion of that assignment statement, we will see the regular expressions. Okay, so how does the regular expression play a vital role whenever we are writing some Python programming languages? Okay, so once we complete the regular expression, then we will see the basic data types. Okay, so what are all the basic data types are there? For example, integer, float, double. Okay, so likewise, many data types are there. Among the data types, we will see only the fundamental data types. Okay, so which is very much required for writing a program. Okay. So once we completed the basics about the data types, then we will see the type conversions. How does one data type is converted into another data type? Okay, so that is we will call it as type conversion. Okay, so once we complete the type conversion, then we will see the operators. Okay, so what operators, sometimes we will call it as some mathematical symbols, that mathematical symbols which helps to uh, compute some formulas or some equations like that. Okay, and once we complete the operators, then we will see the control flow statement. So what is control flow statement? Like if statement, if else statement, some conditional statements. Okay, so control flow statements are sometimes we will call it as conditional statement. So what is conditional statement? Sometimes we need to compare something. Okay, so that comparison it provide either true or false like that. Okay, so that is we'll call it as control flow statement. So once we complete the control flow statement, then we will see loops. So what is for loop and while loop and do while loop. Okay, so for each type of loops are working properly for the specific situations. Okay, so that is that's why loops are play a vital role for reducing n number of lines of code. Okay, and once we complete the loops, then we will see list, what is list and what is tuple and what is set in Python. Okay. So after completing these three things, finally we will see what is dictionaries. Okay. So why we need dictionaries in Python. Okay. So how does it play a vital role for the developers? Okay. So everything we will see in the subsequent slides. Okay. So first we will see the introduction about the history about the Python. Okay. History and as well as an introduction about the Python. So what is the history? So who is the inventor of that Python? Guide one person. Okay. So who is the inventor of that Python? So in the year 1992, it was released. Okay. So that is the Python programming languages are released. Okay. So, why people are using these Python programming languages and what are the advantages are there? So, everything let's see. Okay. So, Python programming syntax are it's very simple as well as which is equal to simple English program, English languages. Okay. So that everyone can understand easily. and write the source code, and finally they will get the output. Okay, so it has some very simple output, and also it is similar to that English programming languages. Okay, and suppose this Python programming has the ability to reduce the n number of lines of code. For example, if you are writing some programs in the C programming, C++, and Java programming languages, the number of lines of code is more in comparison with Python. Okay? So the Python syntax has the ability to reduce the n number of lines of code, so that most of the people are they are preferring Python programming languages. Okay. Usually, most of the developers they are preferring for efficient programming languages like Python, because whenever writing some code, it reduces most complexities. Okay, the number of complexities are reduced. Okay, also the software measures the software ability is measured with the help of the n number of lines of code. Okay, so these kind of things are achieved with the help of that Python programming languages. Okay, so in addition to these advantages, Python is a platform independent. Okay, so why we are calling this platform independent? Because it may run in any operating system. Okay, so Python can be run in Linux operating system, and Python has the ability to run in Windows operating systems and other Linux operating system, Apple operating system, Mac operating systems. Okay, so likewise, we may run our Python source code to many operating systems. Okay, so that's why we will call it as Python is a platform independent. Okay, which is similar to Java programming languages. So what is the advantage? So in comparison to Java programming languages, Python programming language has the ability to reduce the n number of lines of code. Also, it has some interpreter. Okay, so that's why we'll call it as interpreted languages. So what is the interpreted languages? Because whenever we are writing the code, as soon as we will get that particular source codes are executed. Okay, so it executed very fast in comparison to Java programming languages. Okay, so likewise, there are many advantages are there. Okay, so usually if you are taking that Java programming languages is the object-oriented programming languages. Okay, but whereas in Python, it's an object-oriented programming language as well as the procedure-oriented programming languages. Okay, so everything is combined into a single programming languages. So this is the reason most of the people are preferring some Python programming languages. Okay, not only for this one, so which helps to develop some softwares, and which helps to develop some website, which helps to solve some research problems. Okay, so likewise, there are many advantages are available whenever we are using some Python programming languages. Okay, so that Python programming languages, it may deal with some big data or some complex patterns. Okay, so likewise, there are many advantages are there whenever we are using Python programming languages. Okay, so usually one Python shell command is there. Okay, so that command, whenever we are writing some code into that command itself, it will provide the result. Okay, so the purple color represent my Python version details. Okay, so I installed Python 3.4.3. Okay, so with the help of that shell, we may run simple programs. Okay, now let's see some simple program. Okay, usually the expressions it can be entered at the Python shell prompt. Okay, so this is the expression greater than 3 greater than symbols. Okay, so after three greater than symbol, we will type our values. Okay, so that values are evaluated, and finally the results are printed. Okay, now let's see some simple example. Okay, so for example, this is the shell prompt. This is my shell prompt. Okay, so I want to add two numbers like 4 plus 7, 11. Okay, so after the that expression greater than, I typed my two values. Okay, so that values are combined with the help of some additional operators. Okay, so I will get the printed result. Okay, so whenever we are adding these two numbers, usually we will get the 11 values. Okay, So this is the way the shell programmings are executed in Python codes. Okay. Suppose I want to add some to text. Okay. For example, so here, welcome. Okay. So welcome, and plus symbol. Okay. So whenever typing the, suppose I want to type in the text in the next line, so I must use backslash. Okay. So again, I will take and give space to welcome to Python like this. So here indentation also is very important. Okay. If you are indentation, it must be a perfect one. Then only you will get the result. Otherwise, it shows some error. Okay. So now, what is the output? Welcome to Python. Okay. So this is the output of this particular program. Okay. So the Python cells are executed all the string values and evaluated as well as executed. Okay. So this is the fundamentals program can be written with the help of the Python shell. Okay. Now let's see. Suppose we want to more about this particular details, shell details. So you may visit these, you may refer this particular website. Okay, so http colon slash docs.python.org reference lexical analysis. Okay, and this is all about the Python shell. Okay, now let's see what is constants and what is literals. Okay, now let's see these two things. Okay, so what is constant? So constant is the fixed values. Okay, so constant is the fixed values. Constant is a special type of variable whose value cannot be changed. It's fixed values. For example, uh, uh, pi value. So what is pi value? It's 22 by 7. Okay, so if you are dividing 22 by 7, what will the result? 3.14. So 3.14, it's a static one. It's a fixed one. We may not change anything. Suppose I want to use that pi value 10 times in my program. Okay, so in my particular module, what I will do? So initially, I define that module that pi is equal to 3.14. So I make use of that module in any part of my programming languages. Okay. So what is the advantage whenever we are using like that now? So n number of lines of codes are reduced. Okay. So that is the advantage of that pi modules. Okay, so 3.14 is the fixed one. Not only for pi value, even gravity value also it's a fixed one, like 9.8. Okay, so this is the simple example. Okay, so here first we need to create constant dot py program. Okay, see once we create a constant dot py, what will happen? By default, again we have to create another file or open the another file and type import constant and print constant dot py. Okay, so now let's try. Okay, first we will create some constant dot py like that. Okay, so go to file and click new file. Okay, now we will type p is equal to 3.4. Okay, so p is equal to 3.14. Okay, so p is equal to 3.14 and we will name it as constant dot py. Okay, so like same. Okay, so by default, it is the py means is the extension of that Python file. Okay, so constant. So constant I save. Okay, so constant I save. Again, I will create another file and type. What is the type? So we have to import that constant. So we have to import the constants. So what is this? So import. Okay, so import constant. Okay, enter. Then we will do what we will do. We have to print that constant values. Okay, so what is the print values? So print constant dot py. Okay. Now we have to save these values as main. Okay, and main dot py. Okay, save it. Now, what we will do? So, whenever we are running that particular programming, we will get the exact value of that main program. Okay, for example, if you try, we will get 3.14. Do you understand that? Okay. See, suppose I want to make use of this whenever we are because this is the pi value is 3.14. if you are writing as a module, okay, so that module we may utilize in any part of the program, okay. So that's why this constant play a vital role for reducing n number of lines of code, okay. So initially what we will do, just you create some constant file, create some new file, and define that p is equal to 3.14, okay. So save it, then again you will open another new file and import the previous one, that constant file, and finally print it. So print constant.py, then we will get the result. Run that, then we will get the result in Python shell. Okay. So 3.14 is the result of that constant example. Okay. So likewise, constant play a vital role for reducing n number of lines of code in Python programming languages. Okay. Now, let's see literals. Okay, so what is literals? Usually, these kind of literals are representation of fixed values in a program. Okay? Either it may be a string, or it may be integer values, or it may be a fractional values. Okay, etc. etc. Okay, so these kind of literals are usually assigned values to some variables or some constants. Okay, for example, here site name is the variable. Site name is a variable equal to. Okay, so equal to programming.com. Okay, so it is a literal. Okay, it's a literal. So the literal values are assigned to some variables. Okay, so this is the syntax of that particular literals. Okay, so which is very similar to that constant, but here we are assigning some values, assigning some variables into that particular literals. Okay, so there are different type of literals are there. For example, numerical literals, okay, 12, and Boolean literals, either true or false literals, and string and character literals, and special literals also, okay, like null variable. Okay, so there are different type of literals. Literals are there based on our user requirement or based on the developer's requirement. They may be used in a particular programming languages. Okay, so these are the example of literal collections. Okay, so what is the literal example of these literal collections? For example, just to create some fruit file. Okay, so here we will close and let's see one simple example. Okay, so what is a simple example? So just create some fruits. Okay, so what is the fruit? So go to file and create new file, and here for fruits equal to open parenthesis and close to parenthesis. So instead of the open and close to parenthesis, what we'll do? So we must use double quotes. So if we are using double quotes or single quotes, that the compiler it understand is a string. Okay? Even if you are giving some numbers, the compilers are understand it's a string only. Okay? So here, like apple. Okay, so apple double quotes. We are getting the orange. Okay, so orange like that. Okay, so just okay. So once we enter, we have to type the print the rules. Okay, so print like rules. Okay, sorry, FRU rules. Okay, so now we will save the particular program. So what is the proof like rules? FRUI rules. FRUITS rules. Okay, so save it and then run the molecule will get the result. Happy, correct. Okay, so whenever we are declaring, this is some list of strings are printed in a single line. Okay, so that is we will call it as literal collections. Okay, so the collections are printed in a simple way. Apple, orange, mango, like that. Okay, so this is the way the literals are working. Okay, so now let's see tuples. So what is tuples? Tuples, it is numerical values. Okay, so tuples sometimes we will call it as columns. Okay, so if you are taking the database, it's a columns. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, like that it will print. Okay, and dictionaries. So what is the dictionaries? So if A is in a apple, if you are mentioning A, it means apple. B means all. C means cat. Okay, so likewise it will print. Okay, like expression symbols are used for printing the literals. Okay, A apple, B ball, C cat. Okay, like that. Set literals like vowels A, E, I, O. I want to print that vowels. Okay, so I may use some letters and finally we'll get uh, the output of that vowels. Okay, so likewise, there are four different literal collections of literals are there: tuple literals and dictionary literals and set literals. These are the fundamental literal collections are available in Python programming languages. Okay, now let's see strings. Okay, so strings also is very important. Yes, see, just now actually we saw that example of literal collection. We used strings. See, whenever we are using the double quotes within the string, within some text, we will call it as some strings. Okay, so either it may be a single quotation or it may be a double quotations. Okay, so based on the requirement, so we may um, utilize the strings. Okay. So here, uh, now let's see slicing. Okay, slicing is very important. Okay, slicing is very important. Each time, so we may not manually remove the spaces and add the spaces into that particular text. So it is very difficult. Suppose if the number of lines of code is huge, so it's very difficult to give the space to text. Okay, so in order to reduce this kind of problems, so we may utilize slicing. So what is slicing? So we may decide in which position the text it must be placed. Okay. So for example, so here we will take B is the variable and hello world is the string. Okay. So hello world is the string. So I want to print that particular string. Okay. I want to print the particular string. Okay. With the help of some positions. Okay. So here positions here usually the positions are index positions are started from 0. So which one is 0? So H is 0, E1, L2, L3, and O 4, and comma 5 like that. Okay. So here position 2 to position 4 it will print. Okay. 5 usually skipped, ignored. Okay, so that is we call it as slicing. Okay, now let's see some simple example for that hello world like this. Okay, so here we'll open it some new file. Okay, so and we'll type hello world and so we have to declare some variables. So be equal to um, double quotes like let's see hello world. Okay, so I want to slice. So what is the slicing formula? So print. Okay, so print. Okay, print p of. So I want to slice 2 comma 5 position. Fifth position, yeah, it may not be included. Okay, fifth position it may not be included. Now we must save that particular programming. Okay, so like slice sleep. Okay, let us select sleep and save it. Okay, so by default, what will happen? So here we'll run the models and get the result. Okay, so some errors are happening. Okay, because the syntax is wrong. Okay, so print because here we are using comma. So instead of comma, we must use quote. Okay, so that is that's why it shows some errors. Now let's see the output LLO. Okay. LLO. Okay. So likewise, see LLO is the output of that particular slicing program. Okay. So this is the way the slicing programs can be executed with the help of that Python shell prompt. Okay. Now let's see another example of that strings. Okay. Modify string. So what is modify string? Okay. So there are so we may use that upper function. So upper method. Okay. So that upper method it returns the string in uppercase. Okay. For example, I want to convert some lower text to upper text. What will do? So I make use of that upper text upper method. Okay, so I want to concatenate two strings. So I may use addition operator. Okay, now let's see the simple example of these two uh, uh, modified strings. These examples. Okay, so now what we'll do? Now let's see modify string. Okay, so open it, go to file, and click new file. So I want to modify these two. So first what I will do, so I want to store that string value into some variables. So hello world like this. So hello world in double quotes. So I want to modify what modify the string. So it means print lower values into upper values. So print data upper. Okay. Is it correct? A dot upper is correct. Okay, so A dot upper is the correct one. So now we will say like up like this. Okay, now you have to run the model, then we'll get the result. Okay, so here it shows some error. Why it shows some error? Because strings are it must be in double quotes. Okay, but here we are using single quote like this. Double quotes only we'll use it. Is equal to uh, print a dot upper. Okay, so see, we must understand one thing. This Python programming language is the case sensitive one. So here I used capital U. Okay, so it must be a small one. Python is a case sensitive. Okay, so we must use the text in a careful manner. Okay, so then only we will get the result. Otherwise, it will show the errors. Okay, so that is the error. Okay, so the thing is, Python is a case sensitive languages. So in place of small u, I used capital U. So that's why it shows some error. Which means that compiler it won't understand what is capital U. Okay, so this is the way the Python programming languages are working. Okay, so this is the example of modify string. Okay, now let's see concatenation example. Okay, so already actually I see that example. Okay, now we'll see concatenations. So what is the concatenations? See, in the cell program itself, already we discussed. Okay, for example, within double quotes, hello. Okay, and so plus symbol is the concatenated symbol. So it is one kind of operator, addition operator. So I want to type something next in the line. So hello world. So hello world. So it is concatenated. Okay. So I typed two lines. So two lines are merged into single line. So hello plus is the addition operator which is used to concatenate two strings. Okay. So this is the example of concat string concatenations. Okay. Now let's see assignment statement. Okay. So what is assignment statement? Okay. So usually these Python assignment statements which is used to assign object into names. Okay, so there are some properties are there. So based on the properties only we need to assign the object into names. Okay, for example, whenever we are creating some assignment in Python. Okay, so first the object reference instead of copying the objects. Okay, so for example, if you see, if already you know that suppose somebody, suppose we are know about the C programming languages, pointer is the best example. Okay, so if you're using star, it's pointed to address of another variable like that. Here, even in C++ programming, destructors also, which is used to for copying something into the existing one. Okay, so Python creates a variable name the first time when they are assigned a variable values. Okay, so first time it will create the variable name also. Okay, so names it must be assigned before being referenced. Okay, and these are some properties are there. So with the help of those properties, the assignment statements are working in Python programming languages. Okay, so let's see one simple example. Student equal to Kumar. Okay, so equal to is the assignment operator. Equal to is the assignment operator. Okay, so there are some conditions are there. Suppose we want to use some equal to. what we'll do. So in the proceedings, it must place some variables. So with the help of that variables only, we will use that assignment operator for printing something. Okay, so that is the conditions. Okay, suppose so a student equal to Kumar. So I want to print Kumar. What will do? Just one simple example. Let's see. Um, Very simple. Like faculty. So like faculty equal to single quote is something. Okay. So I want to print Kumaris. Okay, what will do? Faculty. Okay. Simple. Print faculty. Okay. So what is the output of this particular programming? Is Kumaris. Okay. So for example, like as this. Okay. So random one, then we'll get Kumaris as the result. Okay. So some properties are there for using assignment um, statements in Python programming languages. Okay. So this is the way the assignment statements are working in Python programming languages. Now let's see regular expression. Okay. See regular expression is a sequence of regular expression. It is all about it's a sequence of characters that forms a search pattern. Okay, for example, suppose I have 10-page document or 1,000-page document. So I want to search something into that particular document. What will do? So I may utilize that regular expression. Okay, so that regular expression which helps to check whether the particular strings are available or not on a particular document. Okay, so one package is there. That package name is RE. Okay? Sometimes we will call it as module. Okay, that module which helps to execute the regular expressions. Okay, so module is very important. Okay, then only we will get the result. Otherwise, we won't get any result. Okay, so here, what is the module name? This RE is the module name. Okay, suppose I want to search something. What I will do? For example, this is the best example for that particular regular expressions. Okay, so the rain in Spain, the in double quote, some strings are there. So I want to search, okay, the Spain text, the Spain already is there, so that the output is yes, we have a match. Otherwise, it will print no match. Okay, so this is some simple programming. For example, let's see what is simple example for that particular program. Okay, so create a new file. Just okay, import RE. So import RE. Then what we will do? So we have to utilize that assignment operator. Okay, so you have to utilize that operator, assignment operator for some variables. Okay. So what is this? Hello world. Okay, so welcome. Welcome to Python. Like this. So welcome to Python in the text. Okay. So now we have to use that re module. Okay. We have to use that re module. So it's equal to RE dot search. Okay, so what kind of information we have to search? That is very important. What kind of information? The Spain. So the Spain, the information. Okay, so this Spain information. So we have to search. Okay, so this is very important. Or D is enough. Okay, D is enough. Text. Okay, what we will do? In double quotes. Or welcome something. Or welcome. Welcome and text. So I want to search, I want to check whether that particular welcome is already present or not. If it is present, it will show the result is, it will print, yes, we have a match like that. Okay. So what we will do now, we have to write one condition. Okay. So we will see condition operators. Yes. Suppose that value is what will happen? Yes, like we have to print. Yes, match. No, suppose the condition is failed, what will do? So we have to print not match. Okay, like that. We have to print match. Okay. So now we will see like something. Okay. Now print models match. Okay. So match is the result of that particular programming. Why? Because welcome already is available in the text. Okay. So that it will do search and finally it is identified, was identified, welcome already is there. So that the condition is true, it will print match. Okay. Suppose I want to change this one, welcome to, well, in place of welcome, I type to my name. Okay. So what will happen by default? It must show not match result. Yes, not match. Okay, so this is the way the regular expressions can be evaluated with the help of that Python shell prompt. Okay, so this is all about regular expressions. Okay, so there are some functions are there and descriptions are there. Okay, so these functions available in the RE mod. Okay, suppose I want to find out all, so I may use find all, search something. Already, actually, we saw that search. Okay, and split something. So I want to split split search and search will be done. What will do? So I may use split sub. Okay. So likewise, there are many functions are there. So you with that for each functions have different characteristics. So we may utilize that functions with the help of that RE regular expression model. Okay. So this is all about regular expression in Python programming languages. Okay. Now let's see the basic data type. Okay, so data type is very important for declaring variables. Okay, or first declaring variables. Okay, for example, this is the these are all the basic data types available in Python programming languages. Okay. So the first one, Boolean data type. So Boolean data type will consist of only two results, either true or false. If the condition is true, it will print. Either otherwise, it will print false like that. So either true or false. That is one kind of data. Okay, important data type available in Python programming languages. In some conditions, these Boolean data type is very much required to reduce n number of lines of code. Also, the complexity also reduced whenever we are writing the programming programs with the help of the Python shell. Okay, so that is the first one, Boolean data type. And second one, integer. Okay, so int is the keyword, data type keyword. Pool is the data type keyword. Okay, so I want to declare some numerical values. So sorry, only for integer values. So I may utilize that int data types. So float values. So I want to print some fraction point values. So I may use float. So integer, it has some range. Float, it has some range. Okay, so integer, it is only focused on integers. Float, it is only focused on fractional values. Okay, and it's double also is there. Okay, so double, so the range is huge in comparison with float values. Okay, string. Okay, usually the strings are converted into byte-size characters. Okay, and list, mutable list, dictionaries, key and value mapping. Okay, so there are these are all the basic data types are available in Python programming languages. Now let's see one simple example of that basic data types. Okay, very simple. Of course, I want to close this one and open some new file. Okay, so here in subsequent slides also we will see how the values are printed. Okay, for example, I get integer 2.5. So 2.5. A is equal to like, so let me create some game. A is equal to integer 2.5 print on E. So what is the result of this particular programming? Like this, if suppose if it is integer, okay, suppose it is integer. What is the result of this particular programming? It is only 2 because integer it deals only with numbers, whole numbers. Okay, like not a fractional numbers. Okay, only integer numbers only it deals. Okay, so now we will run the models. Then we get the result. Suppose I want to print the entire 2.5. So I may utilize float data type. Okay, so float. So entire values are printed. Okay. So 2.5. So likewise, based on the developer requirement, based on end user requirement, so they may use different data types. Okay, so that is the basics about the data types, okay, in Python programming languages. Now, let's see the type conversion. So what is type conversion? So I want to convert one data type to another data type. Okay, for example, integer to float. Okay. See, usually, suppose in mathematics already we know that suppose if 2 is there, suppose if you are declaring a float, so it may consider 2.0. Okay, suppose the float value is 3.6. So if you are converting into integer, now what will happen by default? It will show 4, 3, because it shows only the integer values. But what is the problem? Suppose I want to use some 3.6 is converted into 4 now. So I may apply seal and float technique, then we will get some 4 values. So there are so many problems are associated with this kind of integer and float. If suppose if you are using alone. So in order to avoid these kind of problems, so we may use type conversions. Okay, so these are the type conversion example. Okay, so these are the type conversion example. Here, float to integer conversion is truncation, not rounding off. Okay, so usually you have to convert float into integer conversions. Okay, so now let's see one simple example. Okay, let me take the simple example. So here I to only 2. Now tell me what is the result of this float values. Float values is always deals with fractional values. So the result it must be a 2.0. So which means that float values is converted into some integer type. Okay. So for example here, we must save. Yes, it shows 2.0. Okay. So suppose I want to print 2.6 integer data type. Okay, so what is the result of this particular programming? So already you know that. Okay, so we will get only 2, but it may not consider seal and floor values because I gave 2.6. So this 2.6 now by default it will print 3. So this is the problem. So we need to convert. Proper conversion is required for converting floating into integer into float like that. Okay, so this is the way the problems are resolved with the help of that type conversion method. Okay, so type conversion method. Okay. So these are all the examples are there, type conversion examples if possible. So you may try as an exercise. Okay. Now let's see operators. So these are all the fundamental operators are available in Python programming languages. Okay. So arithmetic operators, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, okay, and modulus, uh, power function, okay, and these kind of operators will call it as arithmetic operators, okay. And now let's see some simple example for all program, okay. Go to Python, create new file. Suppose I want to use suppose a is equal to 5, okay? And b is equal to, I want to add 2 numbers with the help of 6. So I want to store t value. So 6 equal to of A plus B, A plus B, C, simple addition. So here I used arithmetic operator. Okay, so now let's see. Just need to save, okay? Save it. Then we'll run the model. F5 is the shortcut keyword for run the model. So 5 plus 6 is 11. Okay. Now I want to use multiplication. So what is the result of that multiplication? So 6 into 5, 30 is the result. Okay. So 30 is the result. And subtraction. Okay. So subtraction, I want to use subtraction. So 5 minus 6 minus 1. Okay, so 5 minus 6 minus 1. And let's see the result of that particular program. Okay, so these are all the mathematical symbols. We will call it as arithmetic operators. Okay, now let's see comparisons. I want to compare something from, so I want to compare now. Suppose I want to compare 3 and 5, which one is bigger one or which one is lesser one. Okay, so we need some comparison operators. Okay, so already actually we saw that example. Okay, if the condition is true, it will print something. Okay, otherwise it will show like that. Okay. Okay, so this is the way the operators play a vital role in programming languages. Assignment operators, already we saw that. Okay, so equal to, not equal to, everything. Okay, logical operators, and, or, not. Okay, these are also another type of operators. Bitwise operator, bitwise and, bitwise or. Okay, bitwise cap less than left shift, right shift. Okay, so these are all the operators are also available in Python program. Membership functions, identity functions. Okay, so likewise, these are all the basic operators are available in Python programming. For each operators having some specific characteristics to perform some calculation in mathematics. Okay, so this is we call it as operators. Now, let's see control flow statement. Okay, so usually this is the basics. Okay, suppose if it is very hot, I will skip exercise. Okay, this is the one simple example for control flow statement. If it is very hot, I will skip. Okay, so that is one kind of condition. Conditions are there. The temperature is very hot. I will skip the exercise. Okay, so which means some conditions are there that through that conditions, the flow can be executed. Okay, the condition is very hot, so I will skip the exercise. So what is the hidden meaning of that? So suppose the condition is not very hot, so I will do exercise. So this is the hidden meaning. So either true or false. Okay, so likewise, the control flow statements are working in Python programming languages. Okay, so this is a simple example. Okay, so for example, if x less than y, print x. This is the condition, x less than y. Okay, so the comparison operators are utilized to compare two values and finally print x. Suppose this condition is failed, so directly it will come to else part. So is the meaning mark. Okay. Now let's see one simple programming for comparison of that. Okay. Now we will do some comparisons. What is the comparisons? If A greater than B, then print A bigger, A bigger one. Else, that is another condition. Else, print. Here, interpretation is very, very important. So we must use proper value. In order to get, otherwise we will get anything. Okay. So just save it and run the model. So we'll get some result. Okay. So what is the error? A is equal to A bigger. So name error. So why it is formed as name error? Why? Because here we are not declaring any values. Okay, so simply variables. Okay, so now I want to assign some values into that x and y values. Okay, so A and B values. So A is equal to 10. So a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 5. Okay, so now we will see and then check what is the result of the particular program. So a is bigger. Okay, so a is bigger means so 10 is the bigger one in comparison with 5 values. Okay, so this is we call it as control flow statement. Okay, whenever we are writing some control flow statement source code, indentation also is very important. Okay, for example, so here we followed some indentations. So sequentially, I followed print x, print y, like that. Okay, so it is very important. Indentation is very important in Python programming language. Whenever we are using some block of statement. Okay, like this is simple if statement. Suppose if we are using nested if, so we may have n number of block of statement. Okay, so if we are using some n number of block of statement, so we must follow that indentation. Okay, then only we will get proper result. Otherwise, we may not get the we will get errors. Okay, we may not get the result. We will get the errors. Okay, for example, now let's see if statement. Okay, suppose this is the simple syntax of that if statement. The condition is true, it will print yes1. Otherwise, it will go to else. Okay, so this is already we discussed. This is all the general. This is first one if statement, and the second one if else. If statement only checking Boolean expressions, either true or false. And what about the second one? If else statement, the condition is true, print yes1. Otherwise, it directly will come to yes2. Okay, that is the second one. And nested if more than one if conditions are there, that is we will call it as if nested if state. Okay, the first condition is true, again it will come to second part, second if. Okay, so inside of the loop it will check. Okay, the condition is true, it will go to this side so that it will decide whether it is true or false. And everything is fine, directly to come to else part. Okay, so this is the way the nested if also is working. Okay, so likewise, there are different type of LCBF flow statements are available. Statement control flow statements are available in Python programming languages. So this is some basic course. So in future, we will try to explain elaborately that with an examples. Okay. Now let's see loops. So what is Python loops? So Python usually has two primitive loop commands. Okay. So first one is while loop, and second one is for loop. Okay, so what is the while loop? So while loop, this is the while loop. We can execute a set of statement as long as the condition is true. Okay, so initially it will check the condition. Suppose the condition is true, the next subsequent block of statements are executed. Okay, so that is we call it as while loop. Okay, but whereas in do while, initially block of statements are there and finally it will check the conditions. Okay, that is we call it as do while. So this is do while only backside, and whereas while loops are working in the forward side. Okay, so here this is the simple example. So what is the condition? If I equal to 1, while I less than or equal to 6, the condition is true, print I, otherwise it will continue. Okay, this is the simple example. Okay, now let's see the program. Okay, a simple example. I is equal to 1. Now we'll write while I is greater than 16 or something else. Okay, so I less than or equal to 6. Okay, I less than or equal to 6. What is the condition? Print I. Else. This is the way. Well, this is the way they will print. Okay. Else. So else I plus equal to 1. Simple programming. So now first it will check the condition whether it is true or false. It will continue. Why? It's going like that because I used that continuation. Okay, continuous statement. Okay, I plus equal to 1. There is no end. So indefinite one. It will go like that. So I want to break. What I will do? So I may use the break statement. Okay, I may use some break statement. We can stop the loop even if the while condition is true. Okay, so here the results are continued. Suppose I want to break the statement, what I will do? So I may use break, just break. That's it. Okay. So here already we discussed. Okay, open it. Yes. Okay, no. So I is equal to 1, and we will check why I is less than or equal to 6. Okay, so less than or equal to 6. It will print I values. Else, else, okay, else, uh, print, else, print, else I equal to I plus. Okay, so I plus equal to 1. Okay, so I plus equal to increment operators. Okay, so now I will stop something. Take it out. Okay, now I will check. First, we will save and check whether this working. So break outside of the particular loop. Okay. So what we will do? If it is true, we will write break. Put break. Okay. So now we will get the result. Invert this syntax. So the thing is, suppose we are running that particular programming, what will happen? By default, it will continue. So in order to stop the process, so we must use that break statement in a proper place. Okay, so this is the uh, uh, we'll call it as loops, while loops. Okay, while loops. Or it will write some simple programs like that. We will do that. So instead of the continuation statement, so we may use some breaking method. So in the condition itself, we may utilize that while break statement, and finally we will stop the process. Okay. So in order to stop the indefinite loop, so we may utilize break statement. Okay. So this is we call it as loops. So the first one is for loop. Already we know that because I want to iterate to 100 items. So there are some syntax are there. For equal to I equal to 0, I less than 5, and I plus plus. This is the normal for loop syntax. So with the help of that for loop statement, so we may uh, print a set of statement with a single line. Okay, so single line. So we may print some set of iterations, set of statements. Okay, so that is the advantage of that for loop. Already, actually, we saw that example fruit list literals. Okay, and fruits apple, banana, cherry. So I want to print all the three fruits in a single line. So I may utilize that for loop. So the help of that single line, so we may print set of statement. Okay, and now let's see the Python collections like list, tuple, and set. So what is list? List is the collection of which is ordered and changeable, allows duplicate members also. Okay. So already we saw that list. Okay. So we may print the numerical values, strings, and everything. Okay. Tuple also already we discussed. Okay. So the main difference between list and tuple, list are changeable one, but whereas in tuples are unchangeable one. But both are allowed some duplicate members. Okay. And but what about the set? It is unchangeable. Also, it is unindexed. Okay. And what about the dictionary? Dictionary is changeable, uh, but whereas in set is unchangeable. Okay, but all the except list and tuple, set and dictionary, it allows it won't allow duplicate members. Okay, that is the difference between a list, tuple, and set and dictionaries. Okay, so already actually we saw that example list for printing some fruits values in the numerical values, strings, tuples. Okay, so position of suppose I want to truncate something, so we may use some tuple methods. Okay, so likewise, already we have seen the example of list, tuple, and set. Okay, so finally we will see dictionaries. Okay, so usually the dictionaries is all about to store data values in key value pairs. Okay, so for example, So in a dictionary, usually already we saw that this dictionary is a collection which is order, changeable, and don't allow duplicates. Okay, usually this kind of dictionaries are written with the help of the curly brackets and have the keys and values. Okay, so for example, this is the example of the dictionaries. Okay, so this dictionary equal to assignment operator we use to dictionary is the variable. So brand, so semicolon, that is dictionary. So brand, colon, Ford, model, Mustang, year 1964, and this dictionary. Okay, so it will print the entire block of statement. Okay, so for let's see one simple example. This dictionaries. Okay, so this dictionary colon. I think not equal. Equal. This dictionary is equal to very simple. We may use all the double quotes. Okay, so brand Ford. Okay, like this brand Ford. Here, colon is very important. Okay, so colon is very important, and brand Ford. So Ford, comma. Okay, so comma means I want to add another text string. Okay. Here, car, car, yellow, yellow, like bottle, bottle, like total it is mouse, bottle is water. So likewise, we have to print all the values. This dictionaries. So with the help of the dictionaries, okay, we will get more results. So here, instead of bottle, it will be so we have here like so yeah, in integers we no need to put any double quotes. So now we will get the result of that particular uh, programming. Okay, so now we will try to put the invalid syntax. So why it shows some invalid syntax? This dictionary. So dictionary, we need to work this dictionary. Okay, so now we'll try. Okay, so now we'll try the invalid syntax. Okay. So now we need because we must follow some indentations. So we must follow some indentation. Then only we will get the result. Okay, otherwise we may not get any results. Okay, so here. Indentation is failed. Okay, so indentation is failed. So better we'll get this and we get some problem result. Okay. So here it is wrong. So indentation is always failed. Now we'll try otherwise. But this is the syntax of that particular dictionary. Okay, so here this is simple example. So this is this we'll get the results. Okay, something we missed. Okay, so here we will save it and indentation is failed. So not found this one like this. So invalid sorry. Invalid syntax. So this dictionary equal to what is the dictionary? Where is the dictionary? Dictionary we need to store the previous one. Okay, so but we are directly so why it shows some errors because uh, this information already available in some part. So we may utilize those dictionaries and finally we will get the result. Okay. So for example, so here this is the output brand Ford, model, Mustang, and year 1994. So like that. But dictionary means some collection of informations are available. So that informations are printed in a single line. Okay, so that's why the dictionaries also play a vital role for reducing n number of lines of code. Okay, so sometimes it shows some errors because some indentation problems are happening. Okay. So you may try, you will get the result. This is your exercise. You will try and get the result. Okay. Uh, so this is the way the Python programming languages are working. Okay. For executing for executing a number of lines of code. Okay. And already this is the way the Python programming languages are working. Okay, so initially, so now let's see the summary of the today class. So initially, we discussed the history and the introduction about the Python programming. So after that, we saw what is constant and what is strings, and what is data types, and what is type conversions, and what is list and tuples and dictionaries and arithmetic operators. Okay, so likewise, so many fundamentals fundamental concepts about the Python programming languages we discussed. In future, we will discuss elaborately with an example, with a more example of the Python programs. Okay, so this is all about today's class. Thank you.